Alright, everyone, we're going to talk Deadpool and Wolverine. Spoilers. This is a spoiler filled review, and if you haven't watched the film, don't watch. That's all I'm going to say. I already did a spoiler free review. You guys can check that out. That's up if you don't want to watch any spoilers. We're just going to break it down and we're going to talk about all the fun stuff in this, and it's going to get juicy. So please stop watching if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine. It is out in theaters now. You guys can all watch it. I hope you guys had as good of a time as I did. I do want to lead, going into this review, that it is certainly not perfect. And I apologize if I led anyone to believe that in maybe my other review, but that was also my initial reaction. But I have had time to digest it. I've had time to feel the movie, and despite it not being perfect, and we can talk about some issues I had with it, I loved it nonetheless. And it's still one of my favorite Marvel films, for sure. And let's start at the beginning. When the film first opens, I remember my initial reactions to seeing Wade in the Logan universe and the X on the grave. I was like, no. And I think I was in shock the whole time for that entire scene, as I would imagine most people were, seeing him, as he says, desecrate the sacred corpse. And I remember me and my partner we gasped when he knocked over the cross and saw the shovel, and it was just, oof. I get it, but I think we all were kind of have been warmed up to the idea of Wolverine coming back. I certainly didn't expect him to just dig it up and use his bones the way he did. Even though, as someone who was trying to find stuff to talk about for Deadpool and Wolverine, I was, trying to figure out what was true and what wasn't with spoilers and rumors. Part of the fun is being a part of that conversation. But I think at some point I spoiled it for myself, or it got to the point where by the end of it, when Marvel said that they were putting out leaks, I truly was not sure what to believe. But I did hear that Deadpool uses the adamantium bones to kill TVA agents, but I didn't imagine it quite like... Or no, I thought he used just the logs, that the part of the tree that killed Wolverine. That's what I thought he used. So it was more surprising to me when he started using the bones, and of course getting to see Deadpool sheath the claws. I should put the claws on Deadpool was really super fun to see. That's something I didn't expect, and didn't know that I wanted. There were a lot of those moments that they gave me of, I didn't know I wanted that. And I do love that, when you expect one thing and get another great surprise. But when we jump into the next scene, we're watching Wade go into a different timeline, the sacred timeline, and we're now in 616. And something that I want to ask you guys, what your guys' takeaway was, because the date on Happy's desk, who, by the way, I was so goddamn happy to see, no pun intended, he was one of my favorite characters from the Marvel universe, even as far back as the Daredevil film, actually, with Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. I loved him back then. I loved him in Iron Man and Spider-Man, of course, and especially as the character Happy. It's so perfect for him. And the scene between him and Wade was great. I loved their banter. I loved that they were able to kind of call each other out, and again, that's the beauty and what we would expect of Deadpool, right? But damn, did he call him out with we. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you were one of the Avengers. I loved that scene. And it was so sweet getting to see all the relics of Cap's shield, proof that Tony Stark has a heart. So again, my question is, on Happy's desk it says 2018. So does that mean Tony Stark is alive and Happy's just like the manager? It's not. That's actually not clear to me. Is Happy the owner of Avengers Tower, or was the scene we saw pre-Endgame, which wouldn't answer our question of who owns Avengers Tower now? Does it? That was one thing that was unclear to me, so I wanted to ask you guys and what your takeaway was. Did we get the answer in this movie, or what we saw was just in 2018, which would have been before Endgame, because Endgame was 2019. So that's what's throwing me off. They didn't verbally make it super, super clear, to me at least, that if Tony was alive or not. Again, it was just the date that I was like, and Happy was kind of not being clear on exactly what, he's the man for the day, for the whole day, who is Tony out doing other stuff. But I'm not sure. Again, it was still a very enjoyable scene, but a little bit of, in the beginning, the time jumping, I was confused which worlds exactly we were in and what time period we were in. But it was a very sweet moment getting to kind of see Wade looking for his place in life and understanding in that moment where he is right now, emotionally, and it kind of hit hard seeing how downhill his life had gone, and kind of looking back at like, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, where did he see his character going? And using the perspective of like, yeah, that's why his girlfriend left him. And understanding like now, yeah, how could you see a future with a mercenary, a hired gun? Even though I very much believed in Wade and Vanessa's relationship, and from in the first two films thought of him as a hero. But yeah, it was a dark take to me, thinking about it more, where he really was and wanting to matter and feel helpful despite, his past and all. And I do love how at the very end they kind of say that about Wolverine with the lady from Loki. But how everything they've done, good or bad, has led up to this moment, so I wouldn't change a thing. And it's nice to see all his friends there and catch up with everybody. And of course then we get into the TVA scenes, which I do want to mention that the guy from Succession, Matthew McFadden, was one of my favorite parts. He was so good, and I didn't even like him that much in Succession, but he stood out as a quite wonderful character, and I thought he did a really good job and blended right in and was a perfect character for Wade Wilson to kind of bounce jokes off of. One of my favorite scenes in the movie still is Thor, the universe where Thor and Deadpool are lovers. I need to see that. I'm just as curious as Deadpool was about that universe. Even I think he said specifically that's in the distant future. So I don't know. I would love to get more of that. But that was one of my favorite cameos that I didn't expect, was that Chris Hemsworth scene. Even though like it was on a small TV, there's a small chance it could have been cut from like a different movie and they just photoshopped it in a way that could very well be the case. I'm sure that news will kind of reveal itself throughout the weekend after people have seen the movie. But what do you guys think? Do you think he was actually there for that, or was it like a weird re-editing of some like deleted scene or some other take from like a different Thor movie? Very well could be, because it's not like he hasn't held somebody in his arms who was dying before. It's been a while since I've seen him, so, but I would like to think that he came back, or he came to do this for Deadpool and Wolverine. Very, very funny, and I love that it's like a running joke throughout the whole film. And I think this was kind of expected, but I think at this point in the film we've gotten a lot of Fox and Disney jokes, and we do get them throughout the whole film, but I think they all really hit perfectly and was the perfect commentary on what's going on with Marvel and how we're all feeling. And I said that in my spoiler-free review about how Deadpool, I love how Deadpool every few years is able to kind of lift up a mirror and force us to kind of look at ourselves and see what we've been doing for the past few years. And it's seeing all that through Deadpool's eyes and is so much fun, and is in a weird way like a process for society to kind of have to go through and look at themselves and be able to laugh at it. And that's kind of because that's what they're doing for Marvel and Disney, you know. They're acknowledging that Marvel has had its ups and downs, especially since Endgame, and being aware of that and kind of, again, like I said, shining a mirror up in their face saying, hey, this is the reality, this is what people are saying. And I do think that helps. I think it's perfect material for Deadpool. That's literally kind of what he's meant for. And I think that was one of the most exciting aspects for me to see, was kind of those thoughts, that commentary on the whole Disney Fox merger and the state of Marvel. So I really loved all that stuff leading up into this scene with the TVA. The Wolverine montage was crazy. There was some stuff that I had spoiled for myself, but there were still plenty of surprises in there that were left. Like, I didn't expect to see a short comic accurate sized Hugh Jackman, which was pretty hilarious. I think I had heard something about that and wasn't sure if that was true. And then the Hulk versus Wolverine was something I had heard about, but getting to see him in that suit and just seeing it all was so exciting. I wish we could have gotten to see more, of course, but I know they were teasing it. I did not expect to love Henry Cavill as much as I did as Wolverine. That was so cool, and seeing him punch and pull the claws out was so exciting. There was like a 70s or 80s Wolverine. That one I'm not familiar with. That was funny. And then there was maybe you guys can tell me more about that one, with like the big hairdo and stuff. And then there was Patch, which I thought actually was going to be played by a different actor, specifically Daniel Radcliffe, I had heard, but that didn't end up being true. And it was a very brief shot, but it was cool. I was really think I was... there was also Old Man Logan, I believe, right? That was Old Man Logan, and with the shotgun sitting on the porch. That was pretty fun. There was also a weird version where Wolverine was being hung up on a yellow X. That has to be some specific reference that I personally am not familiar with, but would love to hear if anyone knows. I do think that was just a fun, cool montage I didn't expect to see right up front. But it gives you a fun look into who else could have played Wolverine and other versions we could have gotten, and I love that. And it helps you kind of see clearly how great Hugh Jackman is. Not that the others are bad, but it does help you appreciate his role and for how long he's done it. And there is room for others, and that was so amazing to see. And I think I love that both can exist, and that's just how I feel. I've always thought it would be fun to see other actors play different characters, let alone see them in the same movie, which is crazy. But that's what's so great about this one. I'm still very curious what, like, visually it would have been interesting to see what would have happened to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, in this universe, what he did to the other X-Men in that universe. Even though he kind of verbally says that he killed all of them, I would want to see that. I'd be intrigued. Part of me was a little disappointed we didn't get to see like some more OG X-Men, but I still was completely thrilled with what I got. I think what's interesting is when Matthew McFadden talks about throwing them down the trash chute or something like that, and that's what the void is for the TVA. But it's also a great analogy for how characters and movie rights and ideas are kind of thrown aside in Hollywood and are forgotten about. And I just remember my eyes were just hunting. I was wondering, what else would they throw away that they think no one cares about down in this universe? It'd be so cool. And I remember one thing I noticed that was like in the rubble, amongst like the 20th Century Fox logo, it's in the trash now, right? But one of the things I noticed was you get to see a shot of Thor's like original helmet with the wings on it that was like from the comic books. And there's also a shot of Captain America's more triangle shaped shield, which was also like in the original comics from the 40s and stuff. That was really cool to see. I would love to maybe one day get to see that version of the Avengers. But I remember I loved their fight in front of the 20th Century Fox logo, but I think it was soon kind of forgotten about when that mysterious character revealed himself. And I remember in the hooded character. And I remember thinking, that's when I was kind of clicking with me, like, oh, the trash chute, that's such a great analogy for 20th Century Fox and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, who would they, I kept thinking, like, who would they throw away? Who would they not care about? And as soon as he pulled down the hood, I screamed, because I really didn't think I was getting that, especially so early. And because I had been watching the FF movies recently, I feel like I was a little more ahead than like Deadpool was when he walked over and like thought it was Cap. But they do build it good, because earlier they show the scene where he's looking at all the TVA TVs. Oh my god. And that's where, see Thor holding Deadpool. But you also see Cap doing and that's when Deadpool does this salute to Captain America. It kind of helps get you in the mindset of, oh, Chris Evans, Captain America. And they try to throw you off with that mysterious character and make you forget, oh, he also played Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. And I'm so glad I happened to just like watch those recently. Just trying to think of Fox movies. I remember me and my girlfriend were kind of deciding between, do you think we should watch like the old Blade movies, or should we rewatch the old Fantastic Four movies? And we just kind of not even knowing, we just were like, well, we only have time to watch this, let's watch Fantastic Four. And I'm so glad I rewatched it in time for this movie. It was unreal getting to see him return to that role. And I loved Deadpool thinking he was Captain America the whole time, which was great until he says flame. But that scene with Pyro, just snapping snapping his flames out of existence was insane. And I actually thought he died right then and there. I think, like, who would survive that, like, back crack? Like, he like lands on his fucking face. And Wolverine's like, we don't know him. But, yeah, I certainly thought he was dead right then and there. And then we get the Sabretooth fight, which was fun and brief. I actually think I liked Deadpool's Furiosa speech the best. Tyler Mane is Sabretooth's name. Yeah, it was brief, but very enjoyable. But then I remember thinking, oh my god, Johnny Storm survived. He's in the cage with them. And I just would take any more minutes I could of getting to see Chris Evans back as Johnny Storm. But we finally get to Cassandra Nova's base, and that's when Deadpool kind of outs Johnny Storm about Cassandra and gets Johnny Storm evaporated. Well, his skin is evaporated instantly by Cassandra. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's definitely dead. Now he's definitely dead. But yes, I remember thinking he died more than once in this movie. But after that, I was like, okay, he's done. I loved Cassandra Nova's powers. That was something visually I feel like I hadn't really seen before. And maybe it was referencing a movie I'm not familiar with, but those fingers through their face was one of the creepiest and most fun things I've seen cinematically, and I love Deadpool's commentary on all the jokes hit perfectly for the weirdness. It was terrifying, but it was also like if they could totally just play off that for an entire 2 hours in like a horror movie. But Deadpool quickly makes so many jokes out of everything. It makes it all fun. But no, that was really creepy. Like anytime that happened, I was just like, oh god, ew, I can't look at that. Let's see. One of my favorite characters, I obviously loved Dogpool. That was one of my favorite characters, but I didn't expect Nice Pool to be as lovable and hilarious as I thought he was going to be. It's just such a nice polar opposite to play against, for Ryan Reynolds to play with, than he's used to in the Deadpool role. But I love their beef, and fighting over Dogpool was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I thought that Deadpool and Wolverine really took some crazy stabs verbally at each other. Multiple, just every insult you could think of, but at the same time they were able to compliment each other just as greatly, if not more, which I think allowed for those such mean jokes to each other that were honestly very true to their characters, but they're pointing things out and helping each other grow, and it is a very incredibly fun relationship to watch develop. All right, now we talk about the big moment where they're both passed out after that fight in the van, and they wake up in this dungeon or like a cave. It's like a hideout, and they're trying to figure out where they are. And in walks, I didn't really expect to see her, but Elektra was just so cool to see. And then it just keeps going after that, and I screamed when Wesley Snipes walked through. That was so cool, and getting to see him back in that suit was just so gratifying. And then when I saw that card fly out, I knew it had to be that fan casting of Channing Tatum, and I also screamed for that. It was I couldn't believe it moment. Definitely reminded me of like the John Krasinski fan casting in Doctor Strange, and just because it was something always talked about, but we never got to see it fleshed out. So I was just stoked. What a fucking trio. And then of course in walks X-23, which we sadly, I do have to agree, towards the end the trailers may have shown too much. I wish I didn't get to see X-23, honestly, but it still worked, and she was so fucking amazing, and I couldn't have been happier to have seen her. Gambit, though, super hilarious. I remember my girlfriend saying I couldn't understand a word he said, but I kept saying like I think that's the point. Like even where Deadpool has to translate for him. But I think it was just nice that he gets to do it, and it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be stuck with that forever. In the same way, John Krasinski was able to do it and wasn't stuck forever with John Krasinski. We're already getting the new Fantastic Four, which will be our main ones, but it doesn't mean that these other fun things can't happen, right? And yeah, I was pretty mind blown. I didn't think they could do it, but they did it. And I was just, every time they were on the screen together, I was like, I can't believe they're all together. I couldn't believe that those three characters were in, same with Johnny Storm, I couldn't believe those characters were all in scenes we had been watching for months and months and months and had no idea they were right there. That's always crazy to me, but I'm glad I didn't know. I love that we were getting kind of to see these people kind of get their moments that they never had, or more specifically, what they say is the endings that they didn't get. And sure, I think, yeah, sure, me personally could have always wished for a couple more. Obviously, when Deadpool said Magneto, I almost jumped out of my seat. I would have taken any Magneto, but I get it, and he even calls it out, like, Disney's going cheap now. But no, I could not have been happier with just Wesley Snipes alone was outstanding. Certainly makes me want to go back and watch all these things again. Love hearing that. I think X-23 is the first one that says "Let's fucking go," which I love. Or she like gets that saying going in the movie. And then the comment about in the car when they're heading to Cassandra's base, I think is really interesting, with Wesley Snipes saying he's the only Blade and the only Blade there ever will be. With all that Blade news going on right now, what do you guys think? Like, I just talked about, like, I feel like both can exist, but what would you guys want? Would you guys want Wesley Snipes to just keep doing it? Or would you want, I guess this is easily the same argument, I guess you could say, about Hugh Jackman, right? Would you want them to keep going, or do you want to see other ones? So I'd be happy with either, probably, but I think it was just great getting to see both Wesley Snipes and Hugh Jackman do this again after so many years. And they obviously is one of the great. Same with Elektra and X-23. It's all those glorious moments that I love to watch. And getting to see the fight scene, I thought Gambit's fight scenes were amazing. And just the fact that we got to see an R-rated Gambit was so cool. Getting to see him blow up bodies and blood spraying everywhere, and him saying the F word, and same with Elektra, both had not gotten to be in. Same with Johnny Storm. All three of them, they had not gotten to be in an R-rated Marvel film All their characters had been in. Same with like Chris Evans has two characters, and they've all been in PG-13 movies. So it was really cool to see Chris Evans R-rated in the MCU, and with a character who had only done PG-13 stuff or PG stuff. And Elektra also, Daredevil and Elektra were PG-13. So yeah, that was just so great. But yeah, Gambit, we haven't seen Channing Tatum before as Gambit, but we haven't seen an R-rated Gambit period before, on screen. So that was just an exciting aspect to me. I love their speech they have with Cassandra, even though kind of go back and forth between being friends and enemies. Same with the Matthew McFadden TVA agent guy. They kind of go back and forth with being friends with the guy, But after Cassandra sends them through the portal, I think she sends the Deadpool Corps after them, and that's when we get to see Nice Pool again. That's when we get to see the army of Deadpools. Now there are so many goddamn Deadpools that there's no way for me to know every single one is. But that was such a fun moment. My girlfriend, her favorite was Cowboy Pool. Cowboy Pool is pretty awesome. I didn't expect that Kid Pool was going to be played by a girl. I thought it was actually going to be the kid from The Adam Project that was done with Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy. Blake's voice was great to hear. I did hear that it's a stunt double who does the action work and is actually in the suit. So I don't know if Blake's actually there doing that. But she does do the voice. So many Deadpools. Baby Pool was hilarious. Head Pool, and God, dude, there was but I think still one of my favorites is Nice Pool, and he just makes me laugh so hard, aka Van Milder. There were so many good jokes. I was laughing so much during that movie, and so there were so many golden jokes that I just felt were so spot on for what was happening in the movie and what's been going on with the Marvel Universe. It was lots of laughs. I think I was most surprised with how funny the movie was. Not that I didn't expect it to be funny. I just was really laughing like so hard, and before I know it, the Madonna song starts. Poor Nice Pool though. I should go back and talk about how Nice Pool became Deadpool in a way. Very, very Deadpool. It doesn't regenerate. That was heartbreaking, but so funny at the same time, and yet so frustrating. I'm like, why do you have to get him killed? And Wolverine was smart for just carrying the dog, and because everyone loves the dog, they're not going to shoot the dog. I love that scene. But then the Madonna song starts, and Wolverine pulls on the cowl, and theater goes crazy. I go crazy. Girlfriend goes crazy. We all go crazy. And it's just such a fun one take. I love that one shot of the long take of them fighting all the Deadpools. Like, so much is going on. You can't even process all of it at once. But it's such a glorious fight scene with getting to see Wolverine in the mask for the first time. And from then on in the movie, basically, and it's a blast. He looks so good, and most of the rest of the movie is the mask moment, and the sacrifice they make for each other is beautiful. I think it really was an emotional moment for me, and we definitely teared up getting to see them, this kind of like the worst Wolverine become one of the best Wolverines, and I love that. And it's such a sweet moment. And it was a pretty perfect ending for a movie about these two, coming together. And when they were at their most opposites in the beginning. And thinking about all these years they've been through and this long journey they've been on, it's been a ride. While they're holding hands, like, you feel all of it. It was beautiful to see them save the universe together and redeem themselves and have people like them again. I think that's what we all wanted, to see, like, the whole room kind of cheer them on, where I feel like most of the movie they were not being cheered on other than by the audience. And so it was nice to see the characters around them in the movie finally cheer for them in the end. And seeing Wade bring Logan to meet his world was so sweet, and Wade wanting to bring a piece of Logan's world into his was the sweetest. Who knows who else he brought back, but I think the one that made the most sense was X-23, and certainly has the most emotional impact for the film, and I loved that. And I was tearing up, and I teared up when Logan, what did he took something out of Wade's hand, and he took the dog out of Wade's hand, and he says, "Talk to the girl." They're rooting for each other, and it's so sweet, and I'm going to tear up just thinking about that right now. But, I think that was a big shocking moment, especially for me and my partner, because we saw Deadpool 2 on our first date. That was our first date, and that was in 2018. And, it was the start of our love, and it was that movie was pretty romantic. The first two I consider really romantic, and so the beginning of this one felt so, oh no, they're not together anymore, and this ending was what we needed. And kind of felt like it brought it full circle. Not that it needed to be that, but for us it was really sweet, and this was a sweet moment, just because we reminded us of our love and going on our first date and how much we care about each other. So very sweet ending, getting to see their masks together at the end. The credit sequence, it reminded me of, I love the Jackass movies, and they always play extras, bloopers, archival footage rolling through the credits, and it really allows the audience to get an insight into what it was like making these movies. But it's short, it's a montage, and it just shows you how young they were when they were making these movies. They have the FF footage, which was amazing, X-Men, Elektra even. It was so cool, and they were just really honoring all of these movies. And I even I teared up when they showed the 20th Century Fox logo. Like, people love that logo. That's so iconic, and it was such a nice way to honor everything. I kind of loved it. Was such a good feel movie. Everyone was just trying to have fun, and even Marvel and Disney were able to make fun of themselves in such a great way, and everyone was able to be made fun of without, I feel like, any feelings being hurt too hard, except for maybe the Logan director, who seems really pissed off about the multiverse right now. So best comment I saw was, "This is coming from the guy who made Indiana Jones 5? Really?" Anyways, I loved it. Of course, I'm greedy. I'd always loved more cameos and stuff, but I was so happy with what we got, and everyone did such an amazing job. I honestly am still processing it. You know, I may feel differently about it in a day or so from now, but this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling pretty pumped, and it's so much fun getting to talk about this with you guys. So please let me know what you guys thought down below. This is a spoiler-filled review, so I guess it's a free-for-all. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and stay tuned for more.